Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I was hiking alone in the Black Hills of South Dakota. The kind of trip you take when the world gets too loud and you need something quieter, something simpler. I've been out there 4 days already, and I hadn't seen another soul. Not a hiker, not even a ranger. Just trees, birds, and the occasional deer that disappeared before you could even think to reach for your phone. It was late afternoon when it happened. I remember the light, this strange golden hue that filtered through the trees like something out of a painting. And I remember the silence. No wind, no birds, not even the hum of insects. It was the kind of silence that made your eardrums feel like they were about to pop. I'd taken a shortcut, nothing drastic, just a side path I'd used on a previous hike, cutting through a narrow band of birch trees to meet the main trail again on the other side. I wasn't nervous. Not then. That's when I saw her, a woman in a white coat, standing about 30 feet away, between two birch trees, perfectly still. Her back was to me. Her coat was clean, too clean. Not a smudge of dirt, not a crease. It looked like she had just stepped out of a dry cleaner's bag and wandered into the woods by mistake. At first, I thought she might be lost, or hurt, maybe in shock. I called out, "Hey, are you okay?" But she didn't respond, didn't move. I called again, louder this time. Still nothing. So I did what any idiot would do. I got closer. As I walked, I felt something shift in the air. It got heavier, like the atmosphere thickened around her. I was sweating but freezing, my hands cold, my back soaked. I stopped about 10 feet behind her and said, "Do you need help?" Still nothing. She didn't even twitch. Then I did the thing I still regret. I circled around to get a look at her face. She didn't have one. No eyes. No mouth. No nose. Just smooth, pale skin stretched across a rounded head like unfinished clay. And somehow, that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that I could feel her looking at me. Even without eyes, I could feel her gaze, like it pierced me. My stomach dropped. My legs buckled. I stumbled back, caught my foot on a root, and hit the ground hard. When I looked up again, she was gone. Just like that. No footsteps, no rustling leaves. Just vanished. I lay there, heart pounding in my chest like it wanted out, eyes darting between the trees. Nothing. Just silence again. That same awful, ringing silence. I made it to my campsite before dark, somehow. I couldn't eat, couldn't think. I just sat there with my flashlight on, staring into the trees, waiting for something to move. It was just after midnight when I first heard it. Leaves rustling outside my tent. Not footsteps, just soft brushing like something dragging. And breathing. Not the soft kind either, but harsh, wet, mechanical breathing. Like someone was forcing air through a broken pipe. I held my breath. My flashlight was in my hand, but I didn't dare turn it on. The sound circled the tent. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then it stopped. I didn't sleep. Not a second. I waited for the sun to come up like it was a rescue helicopter. When the first light filtered through the fabric of the tent, I finally unzipped the flap and stepped outside. The forest was still quiet, but something was off. My boots were gone. I'd left them just outside the tent the night before, like I always did. Now they were nowhere to be found. In their place was something small and round. A white button. Stitched. Yes, stitched. into the edge of my sleeping bag. A perfect white button, sewn in with thread that hadn't been there before. I don't wear buttons. Never have. I didn't bother looking for the boots. I just packed up barefoot, shoved everything into my bag, and started walking. My heels bled. My ankles swelled. Every step was pain, but it was nothing compared to what I felt being out there one more night. I made it to my car before noon. I didn't look back. For a long time, I tried to forget her. I told myself it was stress, or dehydration, or some kind of waking nightmare brought on by too much solitude. But even now, years later, I can still feel her presence if I think about her too hard. The quiet, the way the air thickened, the sensation of invisible eyes. Last month, I found something odd on my windowsill. A white button, same thread, same size. I haven't opened my bedroom curtains since. Story 2. It was supposed to be a quiet escape. A boys' trip, just me and my brother Evan, heading deep into the forested edges of Northern California, where the map thins out and the trees grow so thick they seem to drink the sunlight before it ever hits the forest floor. We weren't looking for anything special, just some quiet, some nature, maybe a photo or two for Instagram. But that's the thing about the woods. When you go deep enough, you don't find what you're looking for. You find what's waiting. It was the third day in. We were both filthy, half out of snacks, and tired of freeze-dried meals and the metallic taste of boiled creek water. That's when we saw the sign. It was a piece of metal, rusted to hell, barely hanging from one remaining bolt on a crooked tree. The words were still readable, though, despite the wear. Ranger Outpost, 3 miles. The arrow pointed left, straight off the marked trail, into a patch of dense woods that even the sun didn't bother to argue with. Dude, that's badass, Evan said, already veering off before I could say anything. Abandoned Ranger Post? Come on, that's horror movie gold. It was horror movie gold. I just didn't know we were already in one. The hike was rough, steep inclines, deadfall everywhere, brush clawing at our clothes like it had fingers. But 3 miles later, almost exactly, we found it. The outpost was broken. No other word for it. A crooked skeleton of a cabin, slumped against a hill like it was drunk. The roof caved in on one side. Windows shattered. Vines had crept in through the cracks and wrapped around the beams inside like they were trying to pull the whole place underground. We stepped inside. The air smelled like rot and rust. Old paper, maybe something else I couldn't name. There wasn't much left. An overturned desk, a chair missing 2 legs, a few scattered yellowed pages that crumbled when I touched them. That's when Evan found the locker. It was metal, heavy duty, army green under the flakes of rust. The kind that used to store weapons, probably. It was half buried under a beam, but Evan pulled it free, grinning like a kid on Christmas. It wasn't locked. We both leaned in, expecting maps, maybe some forgotten first aid gear. Something cool, but harmless. What we got was a backpack. It was black. Clean. Too clean. The zipper shone like it had been polished yesterday. No dust. No mold. Not even a scuff. It was like it had just appeared. You think someone's been here recently? I asked. Evan unzipped it without hesitation. Let's find out. Inside the pack, nestled in some stiff old clothes, was a jar. Mason style, sealed tight. The water inside was cloudy, milky, like someone had stirred in flour. And floating in it was a tooth. A human tooth. I felt in my stomach first. That drop, that sinking, that whisper in the back of your brain that says, leave. Now. Right now. What the hell is that? I asked. A souvenir, Evan said, holding the jar up to the light like he was inspecting a wine bottle. Dude, this is creepy as hell. I'm keeping it. No, you're not, I told him, backing away. Put it back. We're not taking that. Not from here. But he'd already shoved it into his bag. We didn't talk much the rest of the hike. Evan joked a few times, trying to lighten the mood. But I could tell he felt it too. The shift. Like the woods had gone quieter, thicker, heavier. Like the trees were watching. We camped a few miles out from the outpost, near Coldstream. The kind of place that should have felt peaceful. Should have. But that night, I couldn't sleep. At first, I thought it was the wind. Just wind. But the sound came in pulses, like sighs through the trees. Then I heard the whispers. Not loud, just soft enough that you question if you're really hearing them. Little hisses, fragments of words, a language I couldn't place. I sat up, heart pounding. Evan, I whispered. No response. I unzipped the tent slowly. Cold air hit my face, sharp and metallic. I reached over. His sleeping bag was empty. Gone. Evan. I called louder. Nothing but trees. That's when I saw it. The jar, shattered near the edge of our fire pit. The water had soaked into the dirt, leaving behind a dark, muddy stain. And next to it, a row of teeth. Human. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. All lined up, one after the other, leading into the woods like breadcrumbs. Molars, incisors, even a cracked canine. Some stained, some yellow, some fresh. I followed them. I didn't want to, but I did. The trail of teeth led me deeper into the trees, past twisted roots and thorn branches that seemed to reach for me. I walked for what felt like hours. Maybe it was minutes. Time bends in places like that. Then I heard the voice. It wasn't Evan's. It wasn't even close. It was low, gravelly, but mocking, like it was pretending to be human. He opened the locker, so now he stays. It came from everywhere. The trees, the ground, the air. I ran. I didn't care about the trail. I didn't care about the teeth. I just ran. Somehow, I made it back to the tent before dawn. Evan never did. The search team came the next day. They found the outpost, found the locker, but the backpack was gone. So was the photo I never told you about. Yeah, I almost forgot. Tucked inside the bag was a Polaroid. A man, standing right in front of the outpost. Hollow eyes. Not like tired. I mean hollow. Empty sockets. And he was holding the same backpack. They searched for 5 days. Nothing. No footprints. No tracks. Not even animals. Just trees and silence and a darkness that didn't belong to night. I moved back to the city. I don't hike anymore. Don't even walk through parks if I can help it. But sometimes, once a month, maybe twice, I get a voicemail. Always from an unknown number. Always silent at first. Then the whispering starts. Sometimes it sounds like Evan, but mostly it doesn't. Story 3. 2 summers ago, I did something stupid. I took a solo hiking trip into Washington's Olympic National Forest. I was chasing solitude, a break from emails, deadlines, the soul-sucking hum of daily life. Nature, I told myself, was the cure. No phone, no people, just trees, sky, and me. I parked my truck near a ranger station, signed my name in their dusty old ledger, and picked a trail I hadn't seen on the official maps. Deadwood Loop. Sounded cool, mysterious, a little creepy, but not enough to keep me from checking it out. I wish I had walked away. The trailhead was barely marked, just a cracked wooden sign, half swallowed by vines. But the path was clear, pressed into the earth by years of boots before mine. It wound through dense, towering trees that swallowed the sun, even in the early afternoon. I felt swallowed too, like the forest had lips, and it was closing them behind me. About an hour in, I noticed the first dead crow. It was lying on the right side of the trail, wings stiff, eyes open, its body unnaturally clean, like it had been placed there. I frowned, felt a little shiver crawl up my neck, but kept walking. Animals die in the wild. It happens. 15 minutes later, I saw another. Same side of the trail, same position, wings out, eyes open, unmoving, and then another. Each one identical. Each one spaced just far enough apart that it didn't feel accidental. I told myself I was being dramatic. I'd seen weird things on hikes before, deer skulls, fallen trees shaped like monsters, even a bear once. But this felt intentional, like someone had left a breadcrumb trail made of dead things. Then I passed a tree with 3 red slashes on the bark. Not paint, not a trail marker. These were carved deep, long, thin, and fresh enough to ooze sap. The cuts looked angry, wild, not done with a tool, at least not a normal one. 10 minutes later, I passed another tree. Same red slashes. That's when the fear set in. A slow, creeping fear. The kind that starts in your gut and rises like cold water. My brain hadn't figured it out yet, but my body knew something was wrong. I stopped, turned around, tried to retrace my steps, and passed the same crow, the same slash tree, the same patch of twisted roots that looked like a hand clawing out of the dirt. I wasn't going in circles. I wasn't turning around, but somehow I was looping. I stopped and marked a tree with my pocket knife. A big X, deep and obvious. Then I hiked for another 20 minutes, sweat soaking my shirt, eyes darting left and right. The forest had gone quiet, too quiet. No birds, no wind, just the sound of my boots crunching dead leaves. And then the tree, my X. Only now there were more slashes underneath it. 5 of them, like something was keeping count. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but I didn't. Instead, I set up my tent in a panic. Right there. Didn't bother finding a flat spot or building a fire. I crawled inside, zipped it shut, and sat with my headlamp on, breathing fast and shallow. I told myself I'd wait until morning, that I'd find a way out when the sun came up. But I never made it to morning. I woke up at 3:33 a.m. I remember because my watch lit up when I moved. The sound that woke me, it wasn't a branch snapping. It wasn't an animal outside. It was laughter, childlike, giggling, circling the tent, not running around, just pacing, one step at a time, all around me, clockwise, a ring of laughter. I held my breath. I didn't dare move. My fingers dug into the floor of the tent like I could hold myself down, like the laughter wouldn't pull me up and out. And then it stopped. Silence, so thick it rang in my ears. I turned off the light, sat in the dark for what felt like hours. But the silence never lifted. Finally, I unzipped the tent and stepped outside. They were everywhere. Stick figures, small ones, hundreds of them, hanging from every branch around me. Each one tied with old, knotted string. Some had what looked like tiny hair glued to their heads. Some had red dots for eyes. All of them swayed in a wind I couldn't feel. And that's when I ran. No gear, no tent, no food, just me, crashing through the woods like a man who knew he was being hunted. The path didn't loop anymore. Somehow, I burst onto a gravel road I didn't recognize but didn't care about. My truck was parked at the edge, just sitting there like it had never moved. I got in and drove without looking back. Didn't breathe easy until I was halfway down a mountain. Later, I checked the ranger station logs. My name was gone. No record. No signature. Like I had never gone in. Weeks passed before I could sleep again. I kept dreaming of stick figures, of laughter in the dark, of red slashes and dead crows. Sometimes I wake up and I think I hear the giggles again, soft behind the walls like they're still circling. I haven't been in a forest since, and I never will, because some trails don't lead anywhere. They trap you, they count you, and if you're lucky, they let you go.